everyone, and welcome back once again. And now we have the presentation by two of the very elite speakers, Mr. Chethan and Uday are here, and to talk about Intelligent Automation 4.0 powered by Robotic Process Orchestration. Now, Uday is the Asia Pacific head for Enate, a UK headquartered robotic service organization, orchestration solutions company. He's helping some of APAC's largest organizations in scaling up their process automation initiatives through Enate. These organizations are at different stages in their automation journey. Some of human-only workforce, other feature a mix of humans and RPA bots, and still others are creating a foundation to adopt new bot technologies such as AI and other digital agents. He's a firm believer in productive coexistence of robot and humans in the corporate workforce and is striving to felicitate the same under the aegis of Enate. Thank you so much, Uday, for being over here. We're most welcome. We also have Chethan Prabhudeva, Global Head Platforms and Products Company, Tech Mahindra. Chethan globally heads the platforms and product business at Tech Mahindra. The focus of the unit is to help enable enterprises run change and grow leveraging Tech Mahindra platforms and platform-powered services. The platform portfolio addresses across industry areas across AI platforms, cloud, digital, CX, digital workspaces, as well as industry-specific platforms such as in areas of BFSI, telecom, manufacturing, and JIAI, our AI platform, Blue Marble, our digital or omni-channel telecom, that's from Tech Mahindra, I believe. Telecom platform, our industry-leading platforms, brands with multiple customer deployments. Now, Chethan has 20 plus years of IT experience and platform product experience across leading IT brands as well as startups. Most welcome to both of you. Chethan, thank you so much. And both of you can go ahead with your presentations. Thank you so much. I'll be going offline now. Thank you.
Thank you, Anupam. So, hi all. Let me put things on screen and get started. I'm coming across, right? Chethan, you can hear me, I hope?
I can hear you. The presentation is out from.
Okay. So thank you all for joining us today. So I'm going to kind of start off, and then the way we'll do this is I'm from Enate Uday. We'll cover a little bit, then hand over to Chethan, and then towards the end of this, we'll actually see a real, intelligent automation demo in practice, how it actually looks and feels, to make it a little bit real. So let me start off by introducing Enate, Enate's robotic process orchestration platform. It's basically a combination of light workflow BPM. It basically connects all your digital workers along with human workers, and your digital workers can be different types. And the whole idea is around intelligent automation is to ensure that the entire customer journey is managed through seamless handoffs between different sort of components in the journey, and that's where Enate really comes in. Now we'll not go through a lot of concept, just maybe one or two slides maybe, and then we'll talk through how it actually, worked in a real world scenario and what that really meant. So let's just take a small step back and talk a little bit about intelligent automation. If you see a lot of the sort of philosophy around automation from a non-technical standpoint has been about improving customer experience, improving user experience, and just basically getting things working better for everyone, whether it's consumers, whether it's the business, all of that. But there's a little bit of shift now towards the total experience. What is your experience of engaging with an enterprise? And a lot of that is improved by moving towards intelligent automation, where your overall experience of any kind of interaction is much more refined because everything is interconnected, and a lot more value is created rather than traditional task-based automation. So what we're going to do today now is basically talk about a couple of examples. I'll take you through what this total experience transformation has meant for Generali, which is an insurance outfit, and then Chethan will take over and tell you a little bit more about how Tech Mahindra is working along with us and how we're kind of partnering to move things forward. So let's start off by talking about the challenges when it comes to being able to deploy intelligent automation. and how Enate kind of has kind of gone across all of them. So the first is fragmented processing. That's a thing which hopefully a lot of audience will recognize: fragmented processing and lack of transparency. So that's basically because different departments are operating sort of in silos, and between each of the handoffs there is a drop, there is a delay, and all of that finally means that what it actually needs, the time actually required to turn around, is longer than you really need because of all the lack of visibility, all uh, the delays getting added between handoffs between different teams, and things like that. What all of that really means is that your turnaround time and your resource utilization is not as effective and as streamlined as it could be. And this causes a lot of this is a sort of a main cause of delays in a lot of large processing environments. The second, another sort of angle, another sort of challenge is your ability to identify what kind of automation to deploy where, because when you're so fragmented, you really don't have a holistic view of what's happening. So what you can do is you might be able to automate certain silos, but without a proper clean view, getting into a repeatable methodology to do this fast and efficiently is also impacted. And that is also compounded by lack of standardizations when you're again operating in an environment where handoffs are sort of staggered and you don't have continuous visibility. So all of these kind of challenges are not only, and today we're talking about this, the use case we'll be covering is insurance, but these are all common themes when it comes to being able to deliver intelligent automation in a connected sort of sense. So let's talk about generally. So this is a very interesting case study. A lot of metrics will come up. So what the problem statement was that the customer experience around the surrenders process was not around the life insurance, high value life insurance claims process, was not really working well. There were a lot of automation was attempted in silos, but ultimately that was not really having a big impact because there were much more systematic experience issues across the business. Now, when it comes to insurance, I mean, in their end-to-end processing, so tasks were being automated, but when it comes to an end-to-end process, it was all the way from brokers going across the business. Across partial surrenders, full surrenders, all the way from brokers through to the end-to-end processing which was needed. Now, to overhaul the overall experience, what needed to be done were basically manage the entire life cycle, which meant managing the entire interface with the brokers so that brokers had a way to deal with the organization in a systematic way, handling all the toing and froing the broker comms efficiently, and ensuring that all the documentation pipeline, so whatever you need to basically successfully manage insurance, all of that incomplete documentation, partially complete, all of that was handled efficiently. So once you connected all of this, that's when you would be able to really harness the value of automation and sort of get better outcomes. Now, the objective of the automation here was to handle all inbound, outbound comms, track it, manage it efficiently. Some processes we needed to go into a great deal of detail, and some processes were very light touch just to get good, quick governance and control across the ecosystem. The whole idea was, as always, to use good data coming out of this to drive continuous improvements. Now, this needed to also be done across a scope of 200 people. And the technology which we're talking about, robotic process orchestration, is really very light touch. There's no programming involved. So from contracting to go live, the entire process was about 6 weeks, so relatively rapid. Now, once we were done, this is going to be the interesting slide. So once we were done, what was the real impact? So if I were to classify it, three buckets really. One is the experience, the total experience of the business, massive impact there. The second is cost, significant reduction in costs. And the third one is we actually then helped with increasing the top line. And we'll talk about specific numbers now. So when it came to experience, there was an 80% reduction in internal processing time. and 70% in end-to-end cycle time, as experienced by the end customer. What that really means is previously, if something was taking 10 days, now it would just take 2 days, because there would be complete, streamlining and drop of any kind of delays between stages, everything happening almost in real time, and the transaction happening in the most efficient way. Then 56% reduction in client service email resolution time. The overall improvement in your ability to give client responses quickly, because everything was auditable, everything was tracked, everything was in real time, so you could just much more easily without a lot of manual effort go in and figure out what issues were and just respond faster. Because your resourcing was managed really well, uh, the ability of the business to optimally deploy people and bots wherever required meant that there was a 15% reduction in operating cost as well, because there was really no need to do overtime, or manage temporary staff. And the last was a big drop in incoming emails, because a large section of emails were about chasing, what's the status of various things, where is it in the processing, all that sort of stuff went over. I mean, the TAT itself improved so much that the need for brokers and customers to actually chase and find out where things were dramatically dropped as well. So these were the sort of measurable metrics which came out, and the sort of icing on the cake was that your ultimately the agents involved in selling insurance, they were no longer getting measured on their ability to close a call quickly, right, and to manage turnaround times quickly, because the system took over a lot of that. And what the agents had to sort of shifted focus was kind of talking to brokers in the region. So this is a European case study. So talking to brokers in the region, and with that, what happened? There was an increase in upselling, an increase in retentions, and generally really evolved into becoming, a year later, becoming one of the best businesses to deal with, because simply nobody was in an unnecessary rush, and there was much more relationship building going on, which basically translated about a year later into an increase of about 40% in their actual top line. Now, Enate just played a part in that, but the enabling of the entire experience of interacting with the organization and the streamlining of it, a lot of that, a key role for a lot of that was played by Enate. Now, just one of the things about the traditional automation style, where you bring in bots and deploy them in various places, that was what the business had done first, but that just didn't really work out, because there was so much of fragmentation and siloed operation, that was really, while you might make a task faster, but you wouldn't really impact the cycle time. And one of the big changes was that the whole automation framework worked so much better, because they were able to bring in all these kind of digital workers right into the journey to do things in real time. So reconciliations and all were brought in right into the process as they happened. So as the process transacted, the bots were actioned. The bots were tasked with finishing things, just during the iteration. So like that, automation also became much more much more valuable, and ultimately the customer also benefited with the turnaround of that. So that was the impact of intelligent automation and streamlining the whole thing in a connected sense, which brought to the business. So hope that was insightful. So I think, Chethan, I'll just hand over to you now, and then once you're done, we can pick up again and see some of this in a real world case of how it actually works. Chethan, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Uday. Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
So, hi everyone. Good afternoon. I'll briefly touch upon two key areas that we are investing and working upon. One is our AI solution suite that we call it as Gaia, Gaia, pronounced as Gaia. So essentially, this suite addresses various areas of applying AI into business or enterprise world. And we have sort of segmented that into three key focus areas, which is how do we apply AI for business and customer experience to solve business problems as well as customer experience related problems. How do you apply AI for IT and networks, which includes applications, data, infrastructure, security, networks, which is largely called in the Gartner terminology AI ops. And of course, the core engine and the algorithm hub, where we have pre-built uh, machine learning operations capability to design, develop, test models, tune models, performance test models, because important part of AI development is the whole model management. And obviously, we work with partners, be it cloud partners like Microsoft, Google, Azure, or automation partners like Enate, Microsoft, etc., as well as niche partners and startups, because AI is a vast space. So we try to collaborate with the ecosystem to create a one plus one greater than two, where possible. So to give some examples of what we have done in the AI for business side, if I take the example of a telecom industry, we've deployed churn analytics models to predict customer churn, which is very obvious use case in the telecom world, especially in today's world of telecom, which is very cutthroat. So we have done and deployed these models with about 90-92% accuracy for churn analytics. Another example is around using anomaly detections to identify frauds in warranty claims for auto manufacturers. Uh, we've deployed for large customer in the US, where we're able to predict up to 95% accurately fraudulent claims, because any claim that is fraudulent that is saved for the auto manufacturer directly saves money and impacts their profitability. So 1 to 2% uh, fraud detection translates to millions of dollars of savings. So that's another use case that we have done in the AI for business side. Uh, Similarly, on customer experience, we have a tool called Scient, which does speech analytics. So we are working with DRDO, working with Flipkart, working with Byju's, etc. in India, as well as with Microsoft in the US, to build speech models and do automated speech assessments, sentiment analysis of text and speech, and improve the whole call center experience, right? And thereby customer experience. So that's an example of how we are applying AI to the customer experience side. And these are all use cases that are in production, which have been fine tuned in the last year. Uh, on the AI for IT, so here is where we typically we have a large infrastructure business supporting infrastructure of data center as well as end user computing for customers across the world. So here we've used the data and knowledge to build models to predict data center failures, identify transaction failures ahead of time, auto heal them, auto correct them where possible. So this is to essentially make sure between your apps, infra, data, we are able to leverage machine learning and AI to auto resolve problems. And of course, we use bots to trigger the actions and close the loop in terms of fixes required, right? So those are some examples. Similarly, we've done in security for our own. Within TechM, we have a large security organization. So we have done a lot of work to create models for identifying security threats by ingesting data from various security tools, right from firewalls, routers, switches, all the way to application infrastructure, and identify threats in real time. And this model also has been tested inside, and we plan to take it out to other customers in the coming year. So those are some examples in terms of how we're looking at AI for business use cases: telecom, manufacturing, banking, AI for customer experience, AI for IT and networks, right? So that's to sort of look at the whole play, and we work very closely with partners where we collaborate as well. I can move on to the next slide, Uday. Yeah. So this is another offering that we have sort of uh, created in the last year and rolled it out successfully. This is essentially to what you know uh, Uday was talking about, right? Digital and human worker together. So many large customers of ours have automation happening in the subsidiaries, in their different units, front office units, back office units. And a lot of times, the challenge was how do we take them on the journey starting with one use case or two use cases up to 25 use cases, 100 use cases, right? And a key point there is to figure out how to do discovery first, right? Where to start, which use cases, etc. So we are using tools there to discover, create ROI, create business cases, so the customers can decide which path to take, front to back or back to front or parallel, in terms of potential use cases for automation or intelligent automation. After that, typically the challenge lies on execution, which is which tools to use, uh, how to construct projects to deliver time-bound results, uh, and where to deploy the bots, how to orchestrate that, how to manage it. Third is to accelerate. We've created a lot of uh, pre-built bots, so to say. For example, we have insurance bots. We in the COVID time we created a lot of healthcare bots. We have security bots created for handling security concerns. So a lot of these pre-built bots are packages or modules that we have created with about 4,000 plus such bots, which are applicable for different areas. And last but not the least, in a large enterprise, you have to work with other systems, right? There could be a ITSM ServiceNow system. There could be a core systems of ERPs. So these have to work together with them, whatever integrations we do from an automation standpoint, because normally a lot of opportunities of automation lie at the intersection of digital systems, or what is commonly called system of engagement, system of innovations, where they meet the legacy systems, because it has to finally work with an ERP or legacy ERP or a modern ERP or a CRM or a BI system. So it's critical to look at the integration piece as well when we look at deploying automation and scaling it up, right? Because automation is never in isolation in an enterprise. So those are the four areas we felt are problems, and then we package the whole thing into one pre-built solution called a digital automation command center. What this essentially means for the customer, that you're a one-stop shop offering to go from advisory to execution to implementation to operations, and do the governance and orchestration. Because as the customer progresses, there will be a maturity of human bot interaction and governance there. Orchestrating service orchestration becomes important, metrics becomes important, optimizing after the deployment becomes important. So that's where the whole digital automation command center uh, offering, powered by our platforms and tools, becomes a sort of a nerve center for managing automation within an enterprise. So that way, this template creates a pathway for the customer to move his journey and mature his journey at his speed and his preference. Right. This we offer both. We primarily offer it as a service model. Again, there the key reason why we did that was because many customers felt that uh, when they have to invest in a lot of tools and technology, by the time they see return, it's 6 to 8 months or 12 months. So we have converted this to an OPEX model where a customer pays per month for a 12-month period or a 24-month period, and we keep increasing the automation maturity through various use cases and solutions using all types of IA and AI technologies. So this is now being commercialized as a OPEX-based model, which becomes easy for the customer to consume. So a case in point is we're working with a large private equity firm in the US who has about 40 portfolio companies. And they've chosen this model where for all their back office automation and middle office automation, they're using this model where they keep on portfolio companies as we finish one. And for them, they have a clear view of the cost of ownership as they onboard more and more entities. And since there are portfolio companies, they don't want to invest heavy, but they want to start light, and then as they mature, they want to add more use cases. So it becomes more a variabilized model rather than a fixed model with a fixed cost. So this is something that's been well received in the industry, and since the launch, we got multiple customers signed up, and of course we customize the model based on customer preferences, but we're seeing a lot of value of this model for customers. So I just wanted to touch base on two things: our AI platform called Gaia, what it does, what are the use cases it solves, and our IA platform. And part of this DACC that I talked about is where Enate fits in beautifully, because Enate brings in the whole service orchestration, which is an essential part to manage your automation journey. You can work with whichever automation tool, Microsoft Power Automate or UiPath or Automation Anywhere or Blue Prism or Pega or whatever else. Ultimately, you got to orchestrate, govern, manage the whole automation lifecycle, and that's where we see a lot of value in collaborating with Enate to do this whole uh, digital automation command center and deliver it to customer in the form of an automation as a service model. So I'll pause there for any questions, or Uday, back to you.
Thank you, Chethan. So we can, unless there are questions, which I don't see any coming of right now. So why don't we kind of actually look at what this really means in practice, see a real world sort of deployment around KYC, which is hopefully generic enough for all our audiences to understand, and see a sort of interfacing of multiple different digital technologies in one particular process. So let me bring that onto screen, and this is our website, enate.net, and I'm just going to kind of go down and play the KYC. Chethan, can you just confirm if my screen is visible now with the website
Yes.
on it? Yeah, it is. Okay, so this is going to show multiple different digital workers along with.
Is there an audio over there for this?
Yes, there is. Is it not coming across?
I don't think.
Okay, let me just reshare. I'm just going to have another go, Chetan. Just stop me in case it's still not coming.
Enables seamless SLA-driven work handoffs or digital workers. It combines lightweight BPM and workflow capabilities to bind together all human team members or automation technologies into one framework. Enate drives up efficiencies, reduces turnaround time, and improves governance across the end-to-end customer lifecycle. In this demo, we take you through a simplified KYC process for India region of Bank of People, where a customer raises a request through an email. In this demo, Andy is a processor and a team manager, Jim a human team member. Digital workers in the team, Automation Anywhere bot Astro, Alpha, a UiPath bot, Marvin, an Uno bot, and Abby, an OCR engine. These digital workers work alongside Andy and Jim to deliver various tasks along the end-to-end service cycle. The orange blocks in the diagram are what we call as steps. Steps are logical groupings of different types of activities or tasks in the process. Under each step, we have various tasks that are performed by multiple agents. Digital workers in the process can be interchanged with other bots. For example, RPA bots such as Blue Prism, Softomotive, Automation Anywhere, UiPath, Uno, and other RPA vendors. They can be swapped or mixed for the best business outcomes. You can also plug and play multiple OCR, artificial intelligence, and machine learning bots at different points in the process to deliver end-to-end process automation while controlling and managing it all centrally. In this example, the extract via OCR is an Abby task, which processes a digital document and passes the extracted data into an Excel for the Automation Anywhere bot Astro for further processing. Let us log in as Andy, who is a team manager. On the top right-hand side, Andy can see all the team members working with him. Each team member has a donut next to them, which indicates the number of work items that individual is working on at that point in real time. On the bottom right corner of the screen are unassigned work items across different queues.
I think the demo stopped, or you're continuing?
No, it's not stopped. Second, let me just check what's happened. I think this is a little bit of a flaky technology here.
When each task is likely to finish,
Yeah, it's moving.
SLAs are looking, and their prioritization order. Managers can choose to change prioritization or pull things back into the human world for processing. Currently, there are 7 items and 3 hours of work remaining, after which the bot team will be idle. Enate helps Andy to plan work and think about what else to automate with his spare capacity. Enate is bot agnostic, and multiple bot farms can report to Andy. In this example, there is an Automation Anywhere bot farm, Uno bot farm, and a UiPath bot farm. Enate is themed into green, amber, and red across the work area. Green indicates work items due in the future, amber indicates due today, and red is where currently work is running behind SLAs and is overdue. The bars represent the total number of work items in different queues. The line items in the left bottom grid are the work items that Andy and his team have responsibility for. Each line item represents a piece of work, and the RAG status reflects on their due dates in the grid. How work comes into this grid is through various input channels, like emails, forms exposed on the web, chatbots, or from any upstream business system. When Enate receives work through any of these channels, it picks it up and brings it in as a standardized, structured piece of work with a due date against it. In Enate, you can configure due dates by simple business rules, and where possible, Enate can auto-categorize work and allocate it to the right team automatically. Enate thus gives you a standardized view of work to be delivered across your business. Andy moves to his inbox to work for the day and hits on the pull from the queue button to get work. Enate assigns the next most business-critical piece of work into Andy's inbox. Andy now sees the piece of work which is running for the Bank of People for the India geography. He can see all essential data, such as due date and time spent, all the incoming and outgoing emails, and all relevant process data for this work item. The first activity is request documents, which is a send email and wait action where Enate sends out a pre-configured email requesting for documents to the customer. As soon as the requester replies with the required documents, Andy verifies everything is in order and advances the case for processing. With this, the first task is complete, and the second task, extract via OCR, is now launched and available for processing by Abby. On this activity, if the documents do not require any human validation, then extract via OCR activity is auto-completed by Abby, and extracted data is uploaded to the next Automation Anywhere bot for further processing. In this demo, the PDF is not very clear, and Abby needs a human to validate the documents. It may be due to various scanning issues, such as low-quality DPI, handwriting, or poor brightness. Enate allows the agent to correct the necessary details, which are highlighted in red, and then the extracted data is uploaded into the file section down below. Here, Andy validates the data and marks this activity as complete. The second task, OCR activity, is now complete. The next task, verification and screening, is launched and assigned to a bot farm, where an Automation Anywhere bot reads the attached data and after validating documents, starts to verify the customer details. Bot Astro now picks it for processing. Bot goes through the work item and confirms details with the attached documents from the file section. After performing verification and screening through internal databases, it updates the details to Jim for further processing. Here's the task list. Verification and screening activity is now complete. The next activity is risk analysis, where a human must provide a recommendation to outline the customer's risk level to the bank. Jim logs in as the processor and analyzes the request and completes the task. The next activity is account setup, where, after evaluating the customer, UiPathBot sets up the user account in the underlying ERP. With this, the account setup activity is now complete. And the last activity, customer onboarding, is now launched. Bot Marvin picks that work item. You can see that Marvin is busy integrated while processing. Now Marvin updates all the data points of the activity into an Excel file for further processing and completes the activity. With this, we have now completed all the activities in the process. The Communication tab highlights all the inbound and outbound communication exchanged during the processing of this request with external and internal stakeholders. The Timeline tab shows the complete history of the end-to-end process. It includes when the piece of work came in, who all worked on it, what communications were exchanged, handling time for each task, changes that were made, and provides all the data necessary for audit and compliance reviews. It also feeds into the productivity and utilization metrics for the business to understand and drive operational excellence across the service. Queues are competencies or skill groups. They connect resources to work buckets. In this view, there are 4 queues. There is an analyst department queue, a customer due diligence queue, and so on. Work items from multiple processes can be delivered into a queue. The analyst department queue here has 2 individuals, Andy and Jim, who are authorized to any work items in it. Andy and Jim can be added to multiple other queues, and team owners can move resources around as needed, depending on workload. When a resource is available for work, Enate checks across all the queues they are authorized to work from and gives them the next piece of work that's most critical from an SLA perspective across all the queues they are a part of. Reports in Enate are configurable depending on business needs. Broadly, we have 4 groups. Day-to-day operational reports.
I think we'll call it there. Or let me just finish this as well.
Reports are a real-time view of your business. These cover items such as workload volumetric, timeliness, trends, turnaround time, actual handling time. Utilization and productivity reports cover team, process, and individual productivity and utilization metrics. Automation potential reports are reports which guide what automation technologies to invest in, suggested tasks to automate next, and possible savings by doing so. Finally, bespoke or custom reports are ones that are specific to your business context. These can be configured on Enate's environment by business analysts as needed. Enate Service Orchestration drives service excellence through clear visibility, governance, and control across your operations, controlling and managing it all centrally.
So I think that's where we will take a pause. Broadly, like you can see on screen, this is proper intelligent automation in play, where you've got people, you've got multiple different types of digital workers, different RPA vendor bots, OCR, human touch points, all of that being managed in one flow, while the flow's entire journey and timelines are managed by the platform, and all the resourcing for all the people and the bots are optimized. So that is basically, I think, the last thing which we really wanted to cover. Hopefully that was all useful and gives you a sense of how different technologies can be brought together to sort of give you much better ROI than a single task-based automation approach could. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to add. Chethan, I don't know if there's anything more you want to add, or if there are any questions, we can take those as well.
No, I think you summed it up well, Uday, with the demo of the end-to-end platform, which sort of gives a view of the how to manage IA in a more mature way across tools, technologies, and processes.
Chethan, so I think organizers, I will hand back to you in case there are no questions, and I think we are almost on time then.
Sure, gentlemen. We'll wait for a few minutes. If they have no questions, you can go ahead with the closing statements.
Sure. Doesn't look like anything is going to come up. But hopefully that was all useful for the audience. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation in the industry around intelligent automation, but there is always a degree of lack of sort of tactics on how do you actually achieve it, rather than do a lot of custom integrations, hire a big workforce to do a bunch of integrations, then test the entire ecosystem. You can either go down that route, or you can go down a route which is much more productized, scalable, secure, delivered as SaaS or on-prem, and you just bring in a orchestration layer and plug everything together, and basically just get things done much faster. So those are the two takeaway messages. Hopefully, this was a very practical way which resonated with some of you. That's all, Anupam. I will hand back to you then, and then
Thank you. Thank you. Chetan, if you have any few words for closing.
Yeah, just to sort of summarize that, as we move from process-centric world to data-centric world, I think IA is getting more and more mature to bring in holistic value chain automation across the entire value chain of the process. At the same time, with AI playing a role to leverage existing data to make predictions, to make smarter business insights. I think there's a lot of potential to leverage these technology tools, processes, pre-built solutions to increase the business speed, drive digital transformation, improve compliance controls, as well as bring in more predictability into business outcomes. So that's my concluding statement. And thanks for listening. And stay safe and happy automation.
Happy automation indeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much. So now I'll be just
Thank you.
declaring the lunch break for everyone. And if in case if you have any questions to ask these speakers, you can go ahead in the lounge area and you can get in touch with them, or you can personally message them as well. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Uday. Thank you so much, and thank you, Chethan, for joining and giving the knowledge for us, sharing the knowledge. The next discussion we have is about automation for enterprises. Scaling IA RPA to cross functions in your business to achieve business excellence. So this will be happening at 1:30 sharp. So we'll take a short lunch break and networking break. So till then, we'll say bye bye for everyone, and thank you so much, Elvin.
Thank
1:30 will
you.
be the
Thank
next
you.
session happening. Thank you.